The history of Jerusalem, Hiero-Solymos, you may not know of. And Hiero means, of course, holy in the Greek language. Wisdom is always good, but ignorance is always bad. Wait before you criticize and before you pray forgive. And the theologian that writes this article says, I have been researching the Middle East region for 3 days now, trying to find out the real history of the tribes in the region about Israel, Palestine, Jerusalem, Gaza, etc. I am not a historian, I am a researcher. If I make any mistakes, please forgive me, he says. The Jewish historian Josephus calls the city by its real name Solyma. Herodotus tells us that the Solymos were descendants of the Cretans, from Crete. Herodotus said, when the sons of Europe, Sarpedon and Minos, quarreled in Crete over their kingdom, King Minos of Crete, Minos prevailed in the quarrel and excommunicated Sarpedon and those who rebelled against him. After they were driven out, they arrived in Asia in the land of Melius, which the Lycians are now spinning. This country in ancient times was Milias, and the Milias were then called Solymos. Later, the Solymos settled the country of Palestine, where they founded the city at the foot of Mount Zion. The name Zion also comes from the Doric word Zion, which means God. On the top of that mountain, they also built the temple of Hiero-Solymos. Later, after the occupation of the city in 1026 BC by David, King David that is, they demolished the temple of Zeus, on the ruins of which Solomon built his temple. Comment, so the land on which the temple of Solomon was built and then the mosque of Omar does not belong to any of these people, it belongs to Solemis Cretans. In Homer's Iliad and Pindar, we read of the legendary Bellerophon that he found the Solymos, descendants of the Cretans, in the city of Salem or Shechem. Melchizedek was the first king of Salem, Solyma. Comment, can someone explain to us what the word Melchizedek, some king, some Zedek or Zedek in the Hebrew language, what does it mean? The original name of the city was Shechem, then it was named Salem, while when it was conquered by the Jews of Abraham who settled in the land of Canaan, the city was named Shechem by Jacob's grandson. Sikkim was a suburb of Neapolis, and as mentioned by the Milesian traveler Alexander Polyhistor, excerpts 9, it was an ancient Greek city founded by Sikymion, the son of Hermos. On the top of the highest hill of the city of ancient Sikkim, there was a sanctuary of Zeus. The Jewish researcher Ment Gerizim managed to discover the sanctuary of Zeus after studying the ancient coins of the city, which he used as maps since they had representations of their cities on them. Among the ancient Greek coins on display at the Jewish Museum of Jerusalem, there are also coins on which the symbol of Solomon sanctuary is depicted with the words Holy Solomon are written in Greek, Hiero-Solymon, Hiero meaning holy in the Greek language. The name Zion also comes from the Doric word Zios, which means God. On the top of that mountain, they also built the temple of the patron god of the city, the god of the Greeks. The temple was called Hiero-Solymos. Later, after the occupation of the city, in 1026 BC by David, they demolished the temple of Zeus, on the ruins of which Solomon built his eponymous temple, where he moved the Ark of the Covenant. Solyma, the Jews in the PD, in the Old Testament, they call them Salem or Jerusalem, hence Jerusalem. Josephus writes in his Jewish archaeology. Apollonia, the ancient Greek city of Apollonia, is located in the Middle East in the country that Israel occupies today. Gaza, the city of Gaza, was founded by Heraclides Azanas from Azania in Arcadia. Also, Gaza was also called Minoa after the king of Crete, Minoa. It's known that the Cretans were dominant in these places for several years, leaving their traces until today. Damascus, Arcas, Damascus founded Damascus. Golan, in the Golan Heights, on the area owned by Israel, there is a cave called Panion. This cave is famous because of the Jordan River originating from there. The cave, together with the surrounding area, trees and waterfalls, were dedicated to the god Pan. The Jordan River. The name of Jordan is etymologically related to the river Jordanos of Ilia. It is possible that even the name of the infamous Jordanes was given by the Arcadians. Galilee. Galilee is a land of light and spiritual anointing, which welcomed the light of the world. Galilee consists of the word Ga, which in the Doric and Aeolic dialects is the earth, yeah, and the word Lilaya, which is the ancient city of Phokis, 80 stadium from Delphi. The then leader of Palestinians, Yasser Arafat, emphasized, among many others, we Palestinians are descendants from Crete. We left Crete and went to Palestine. We returned to Crete again and left Crete again and returned and settled permanently in Palestine, he said. Of Greek origin, originating from Crete, they had colonized the southern coastal strip of Canaan, where they founded Gaza and other cities. From them, Palestine, the country, was named Palestine. Jewish linguist, researcher, and Tel Aviv University professor Yosef Yehuda, after 30 years of research, provided in his book Hebrew is Greek, that 90% of Hebrew and Arabic words are Greek, and it makes sense that they are Greek because when Abraham and his tribe arrived in Palestine from their birthplace of Ur and the depths of Babylon, they encountered the civilization of Philistine Cretans. Egypt, the country that is under the Aegean, the name is Greek. It's a compound word, meaning Aegeon, and Hyptio, meaning lowland Aegean, or Aegis, Hyptios. Egypt means lowland Aegis. According to Herodotus, 40,000 years ago, the Greeks inhabited Ethiopia, which is a Greek name. Traditionally and historically, all the kings of ancient Ethiopia came from Greece. Egypt was then a swampy and uninhabited country. Diodorus the Sicilian also tells us about the settlement of Greeks in Egypt. The Athenians who built the city in Egypt called Sine. Minos is mentioned in the tradition of the Egyptians, where after the gods, Minan was the first king of Egypt, and he showed the people that he respected the gods and performed sacrifices. Minos, the Egyptian referred to him as Minas or Menes or Min, built not only labyrinths but also pyramids. We know that the Minoan temple in Crete has the labyrinth that supposedly had the Minotaur. Now, the Greeks cultivated the rich soils all around the Upper Nile and built cities. Over the years, they went down to the mouth of the Mediterranean. The rich soils of the new country caused it to be inhabited entirely by Greeks. The first large city in Egypt was built by Actis the Rhodian, who named it Iliopoli, meaning the city of the sun. According to Diodorus the Sicilian, Typhon yourself, who you build a four-sided pyramid and you build the admired labyrinth. And Herodotus also mentions, and the first Egyptian man named Mina reigned. This also explains why the Egyptian priest told Solon that they felt, quote, even Philatenians and in some way familiar with them are not fascin. Another historical figure that we should focus on is Hermes Trismegistus. Here, and I have a playlist of his books. Thoth the Atlantean. He wrote 42 books, of which 36 contained his philosophical and cosmological knowledge. I have a playlist. I read those for you. It's very interesting for you to know their philosophy and their very advanced technology. They even had interstellar travel and interdimensional travel. So he wrote 42 books, of which 36 contained his philosophical and cosmological knowledge, while 6 were medical. He is mentioned as a proponent of monotheism. Suidas says about it, this wise man flourished before the pharaohs. And Trismegistus was excommunicated because he was accused of Trinity, he said that in Trinity one is deity. He believed in the Holy Trinity and that it was one and the same. With what we have mentioned through the writings of famous authors, it follows that the Egyptian civilization came from the Hellenic one. When the Greek sea kings came to Egypt, they found the inhabitants of the region in a primitive state, civilized them, and taught them the arts, philomathia. So I want the Greeks not to know about the great heritage of Hellenism. Soon the truth will be revealed. And the sources: Archive of Culture, Ancient Greek Language and Secretariat, and from Stephen the Byzantine. And I've translated this for you from a Greek language, a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.